Aquatic watersheds are some of the most important environments and resources worldwide, but are also amongst the most vulnerable. As algal blooms create oxygen-deprived biological dead zones, entire ecosystems are threatened. Dead zones also threaten the people who rely on polluted waterways for drinking water, contribute to airborne pollution, and affect fishing industries. Agriculture is one of the largest contributors to the formation of dead zones, as excess nitrogen and phosphorus in fertilizer accounts for an estimated 78% of ocean and freshwater eutrophication globally. While previous attempts focused on legislation that aimed to reduce fertilizer use, these initiatives weren't viable. In a world with an increasingly growing and urbanized population, while too much fertilizer is an issue, using too little is not sustainable either. While this is a complex issue, there is a common solution. Using a top layer of crops called cover crops reduces pollution by absorbing any leftover fertilizer. The results are promising. Cover crops can reduce nitrogen loss by as much as 50%, according to studies by the USDA. This not only helps the environment, but farmers too. Cover crops can reduce expenses by retaining nutrients and water. The use of cover crops is growing annually by an estimated 3 to 5% in recent years. However, in places such as the US, only 15.5 million acres, or 6% of total farmland, was planted with cover crops in 2021. Farmers face various barriers to implementation. While the results are promising, upfront costs often prevent investments. Subsidizing these costs by expanding existing cost-sharing initiatives can help prevent eutrophication. Increasing funding for existing agricultural programs, in addition to smaller agricultural conservation efforts, is foremost. On an international level, focusing on cost subsidization in developing countries is also extremely important. However, it is important to remember that the majority of change stands to be made in MEDCs, which disproportionately contribute to this crisis. The second barrier that cover crops face is a lack of understanding and familiarity with their usage. Growing cover crops requires specific knowledge of crop rotation, and there is significant inaccess to technological assistance or educational programs that demonstrate the best practices for their implementation. By creating extensive public information campaigns and partnering with NGOs, governments can establish programs to further knowledge on these crops. These efforts will not only increase existing awareness, but also empower farmers with the resources needed to successfully integrate cover crops into their farming practices. In conclusion, while the problem of water eutrophication and dead zones is complex, the solution is simple. By providing financial incentives, expanding educational programs, and fostering collaboration between governments, agricultural organizations, and environmental groups to expand the usage of cover crops, we can create a more resilient and sustainable agricultural system. Integrating cover crops into farming practices offers a win-win solution, benefiting the environment and farmers, as well as all the people and animals that rely on our increasingly threatened and essential clean water reserves.